It's so heavy. She ready. I'm ready. Yeah. Y'all ain't ready. Another one.
Yeah. I stayed down my day one day. Then we in the club screaming, no new friends, no new friends.
plans basically consist of I will take my children on the child to school, and I will be at school on the first day to encourage all children to do their best every day at school. I'm responsible for the education of my child. I will volunteer at my child's school 3 times this school year. I will pick up my child's progress report or grade report when required. I will meet with my child's teacher at least 2 times this year and support them in educating my child. I will mentor my child or a child that I will teach children the value of education and family as well as the value of life. I think you needed to expound on that. I know education is good, but a lot of our children won't be going to college. And just not their forte. A lot of our kids are good with their hands, and want to be able to do things that way. So, Tech High, I talk about it a lot. It was an icon, if you will, regarding some of the things that were taking place. Folks who came out of Tech High could go directly into the trades. And right now, if you go look at the statistics when it comes to constructions, black are least likely being in those type of fields than any other race. That's ridiculous, because those type of technical trades pay a significant amount of money. I was just talking to someone, and there's a small town. They have a shortage with welders. Welders in this small town makes between the average of $75,000 and $80,000 a year. A year. Man, you don't have a PhD. Well, PhD make a little bit more than that, but with a master's degree, you might make 6 figures, $100,000. So to be able to make $80,000 a year to be a welder is tremendous. So a lot of trades that's going to become open is like trades like drywalling, tile and floor, concrete. Those are trades where individuals can go in for say up to 6 months to a year and actually start making money. We're excited about some of the things that's going to take place around tech trades, if you will. So again, I just want to put that in, that education is good, college is good, but all our kids are not going to college, and we have to look at other things such as tech trades and even more so entrepreneurship, which is one of my big push. We have to start owning something. We have to start producing something and stop being consumers. So that's my spiel for tonight in regards to the Be Your Father Box. But if you want to participate, you can give us a call at 965-1003. That's 965-1003. That's Black Men United phone number, and my name is Willie Hamilton. Or if you want to find out more about the Million Father March, you can go to visit www.blackstarproject.org. Again, we have a special guest who'll be calling in a minute, Miss Kamara Snipes, to talk about an incident regarding her son. So hopefully she'll be calling in, and we'll talk about it more detail what took place. Just came back from Louisville, and it was a tremendous event. I felt a little bit taken back, if you will, by some of the folks that was in the room. And I don't usually feel that way. But anyway, you had PhDs, you had vice president of companies, major companies. You have doctors, all coming together under one auspice of black male achievement. And where do we go from here after the Trayvon Martin incident? Most of those type of discussions or conferences are really sometimes boring, and you really don't get nothing out of it. But it's never been that way with the black male achievement, because it's so much knowledge within that room. And they had about maybe 80 to 100 speakers regarding the work being done around black male achievement. And sometimes you feel you're in the fight by yourself. But to be around folks who are in the fight with you, it really rejuvenates you to the point where you can go back and get the work done. So, interesting to say, met some phenomenal people: Philip Jackson, Sean Dove, Stephen Powell from the National Mentoring USA, and others around the importance of mentoring. And folks say, well, mentoring really doesn't make a difference. But I beg to differ. If you think back on your life, there's been someone in your life that has mentored you and have gotten you to the point where you are today. I know I was going down a path on numerous occasions, and because of mentors, I was able to move past those. And I'm still getting mentoring, matter of fact, because we had a very interesting discussion tonight, and that's one of the reasons why I apologized early, because we had four brothers really talking, and I think those type of things, well, I don't think, I know those type of things get you ready for not only the conversation you're having inside that circle, but it also gets you equipped to be able to handle that outside the room. Most people don't see me uneasy, or uneased, if you will, or angry. But I've had some some very heated discussion, and I will say, even though it was heated, and even though I didn't enjoy them at the time, it taught me a valuable lesson. And they say this, that steel sharpens steel. Sometimes I really don't like that. You know what I'm saying? But it really helps me. It really helps me deal with a lot of the stuff that outside this conversation. Because at least with this conversation, I know it's not about putting me down. I know it's not about racism or brutality. I know it's not about those type of things, but it's about us empowering each other and us trying to make a point. So we used to call that back in the day rap sessions. And I think we need more of those type of things where we actually get, and like I said, I'm very open to it, us to get brothers in a room, and I'll tell you, sometimes I'd have walked out of some of the discussions I'd have had with these brothers, literally mad, but I've always came back, because after you look at it, and after you examine it, and after you believe me, I research it, because I'm just not going to believe anything anybody say, but after you do that, you come back with a newfound understanding of what that individual is saying, and a newfound understanding of knowledge, because knowledge is power. And I know I'm a little bit rambling a little bit, but it's so important that we understand the importance of mentoring. And it's not about mentoring per se, it's about the village concept, and how we need to be able to embrace each other and strengthen each other so that we can move forward. Because once we get outside our home, really our home, our neighborhood, that's when all the things get crazy. It shouldn't be crazy inside our neighborhood. And I think the reason why it's crazy inside our neighborhood, me, and I'm guilty of this, we have to find a way to be able to deal with conflict, to be able to deal with another person's opinion, even though it may be different than yours, and not to be able to handle that in a way that is not positive to a person's growth. And like I said, I'll put my hand up first, because I have not moved past that yet. I still allow certain things to bother me to the point where I can't think clearly. Because when you're mad, you can't do that. That's why it's so important that you keep your composure and not allow things, words, to bother you. And it's kind of weird, because there's a revelation, because now that I have said it, now I think that won't bother me as much, because I'm allowing it to bother me. It's kind of funny what I'm saying. I mean, even though some of the things are bad and derogatory, I should not allow that or dictate what I do and how I respond. So anyway, like I said, it's a learning lesson, and I'm so glad that I'm never going to get to the point where I'm never going to stop learning. So my guest is calling in now, and we'll talk more about what took place. And I'm going to end up calling Philip, hopefully, and we're talking more in detail about the Million Father March, how it all came about, what his intent is, and where we see it moving. Hello?
Am I calling too early? This is Kim Snipes.
No, you're not. It's perfect time, as a matter of fact. Thank you for calling in. I talked about it briefly, and we're still fighting the same battle that we've been fighting for a while. So even though we had these recent incidents, high-profile incidents, with the latest being Trayvon Martin, there's been stories where you never hear about it. And what I wanted to do with this particular piece was to be able to bring you on and at least get this out so that this could help or save someone else's child. And hopefully get some type of action. I mean, we could talk about things until the cows come home, but it's not action-oriented. Then really, all it is talk. So I want to thank you for calling into the show first. And could you please take a minute or two, introduce yourself, and then you can go into what took place. And then I have a couple of questions afterwards.
Okay. Well, my name is Kimmer Snipes. I'm from South Omaha originally. I live in Bellevue. I'm the secretary for the Highland South Indian Hill Neighborhood Association. I'm a co-director for the South Omaha Marching Phoenix Drill Team. I volunteered in Omaha pretty much since I was a kid. But on the day of the Juneteenth parade, the drill team I work with had marched in the parade, and my son always helped with the drill team. And we got home, and just a little backstory. My son plays basketball in my yard, and his basketball would go in our neighbor's yard. And my very documented racist person. And what she does is, I go my son to the police and says my son is trespassing in her yard when he does not. And typically, they've been in my house about 7 times in a week period. And on the day of the Juneteenth parade, they came out twice, and the second time they brought 2 cars out, including the lieutenant. And they attempted to make me sign a ban and bar order. And I told them because the ban and bar order was so my son would not go in her yard again, but he had not been over there. And so the police were there for a while. I ordered everything that happened. And I basically told them, I said, look, you're going to have this on file somewhere. 4 or 5 years from now, my son's trying to get a scholarship to college or anything, this can be picked up. He lied to me and told me that would never happen. But at the end of the day, he would not believe my son, would not believe me. Talked very badly to me that day. When I gave him the bar order back, it irritated him. He threatened to arrest my son. And my whole thing is that it's not just about police physically attacking anyone, because that never happened. But in my opinion, what I believe is that there's a psychological aspect to it too. And I think it's unfair for my son, for anyone else's child to be treated like that. And I always give acknowledgement to my son for both bones and his arm last year, completely in half and never shed a tear. And the day they left my house, he broke down and cried because he couldn't understand why police would treat him like that and he had done nothing wrong. And I filed a complaint against the police department, and they basically, out there, they tried to play me. Just like the police who came up to my house that day tried to play me as well. They told me, well, no one's in her yard. Okay, well, then why are you at my house? Threatening to arrest me. And so I took matters into my own hand. I filed a complaint, which they came back and said they did nothing wrong. I I reached out to the ACLU, I reached out to the Justice Department, and really, I think you're the one who put me in contact with them. But unfortunately, it seems to me like nobody's willing to do anything for kids out here who are actually doing right. You know, my son is in honors classes. He's been a good boy all his life. And for those police to come out to my house when just 2 days before, I haven't got a banquet with Lee Terry and Jim Stowe and the new mayor of Omaha and city council people and state senators shaking hands, nobody by name. And then to come to my house and treat me and my son like that, excuse my language, it really pissed me off. And I think I have a right to say like that. And it was so unfair to my baby to be treated like that. And that's why I reached out to you, because I'm at a loss as to what to do. And I know it doesn't just happen to my child. I know it happens to other people.
You know, and that's why I wanted to for you to come on, because this story is not isolated. And then what takes place is exactly what you're going through, frustration, because there's nothing in place to be able to resolve the issue. There should be some type of mechanism where individuals like yourself and others can go and be able to get some type of resolve, and whether that be for you or against you. But there's nothing in place where you could go and actually have a fair, impartial investigation. And we the same problem that you're coming with in Bellevue is the same problem we hear in Omaha, Nebraska, and they have it across the country. And that's what I want to ask you is some question regarding what is the setup over in Bellevue. Do you guys have what like a police oversight or auditor, or do you guys have like a mechanism?
You know,
go ahead.
I'm not familiar. I don't know if there's an auditor, but I do know that they have an organization, and I can't remember the name of it right now. I actually plan on going down there after I start to speak, not today. But I know the mayor sits in the committee. It's a committee set up where people from the community can come. But in my opinion, I really don't know what that would do, because I went to be an investigator for the Internal Affairs Department, and even she tried to play me. And so I just feel like at this point, even if I went to something like that, what's really going to happen? I guess my level of trust is just very, very low. As far as I'm concerned, the Bellevue Police Department is really not much from the Omaha Police Department, which I've, worked with in the past, and I watch them and their actions, the things that they do, just even being at Omaha days. I just get the feeling that police don't want to interact with people. I'm not saying all, but majority of the ones I come across.
Well, not trying to justify the police by no way, shape, or form, because I agree totally, wholeheartedly with you, and that's the problem in itself. If you're gonna go, if you got a complaint, you have to go to the police to file a complaint. Then the police investigate it. That's like putting a fox in a chicken house. I mean, it really not going to give any type of transparency, and it's not going to build any type of trust. And what we're saying is this: we have to have a mechanism in place, independent of the mayor's office, independent of the police department, where people can go and actually file a complaint. And that investigation is done independent of these two sources, and then come back and the decision is given.
Well, actually, now, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead, come on.
When you said that just now, it made me think. When I went down there, I took a friend of mine who has worked in Douglas County Corrections. She retired, actually. And then I found it very interesting, because the way it was explained to me, Bellevue Police Department doesn't even have a formal complaint process.
Whoa.
They gave me a paper, and it was for something else, basically, but they don't have this is what they told me. They don't have a formal complaint process, and that's the reason why I wouldn't just take it and turn it into a police officer. I told them I wanted to speak with their lead investigator, because that made me uncomfortable. I'm like, how do you not have a formal complaint process. Are you saying that no one would ever have a complaint against the police department?
Well, I'm glad you came on the show because I think this is what we have to do. We have to align ourselves. Lincoln has a pretty good oversight in Lincoln. Omaha do not. Bellevue do not.
Okay.
One of the things that people are actually talking about was actually trying to get this on the ballot. And Senator Chambers have said it. I even said it that no way in the world we could get this thing passed. But I'm tend to start to change my mind. I think one of the things we may have to look at is actually working together and actually trying to get this thing on the statewide ballot. At least,
I'm down.
At least we'll get enough attention and focus from other folks to say, hey, look, if this thing is happening in Omaha, it's happening in Bellevue, it's got to be happening in Lincoln, it's got to be happening in all these other small towns, Grand Island, Schuyler, all these type of places. So we may need to sit down and really say, hey, look, and I know a lot of the organizations who are working around this particular piece. And I think this would be a good time because we actually getting ready to have a regional conference around this issue and other issues, racial profiling, stop and frisk, ban the box, and things like that. And I think we'll be in a good position if that's something that, and I'm telling you, you would have to definitely be the centerpiece over in Bellevue, and I could be the centerpiece here, and I already know the folks in Lincoln. So I think that's something we should really look at.
I agree.
We're doing that. Okay, so
I would also.
Go ahead.
I was just in here thinking, and something else that I see a lot is people don't ever complain either, not formally. They complain to their friends and family and things like that. I know so many people who have had things happen, but they won't go to the police department and file a complaint.
Fear factor. And they say, hey, why would I go to police and file a complaint against the police? But it's kind of interesting, and I can't really talk about this group, but I'm on this this committee called the U.S. Attorney's Hate Crime Committee. And a lot of the issues surrounding the hate crime are the same issues surrounding police brutality, lack of police oversight. A lot of the folks don't feel comfortable in going to the police and have them do anything, whether it be the FBI or the DEA or the Omaha Police Department, because of the history of distrust and the history of some of the things that have taken place when it comes to the Omaha Police Department, Marvin Ammons, George Bibbins, and the list goes on and on. So when you was talking about when you was talking about your particular case, that may fall upon the hate crime because of some of the things that you talked to me about.
Right.
And I might
are you referring to the racist part of it?
Right.
And I did have a police officer tell me that, my neighbor told him that she made racist comments to me. And the thing funny about it, too, is that the police have been called on her in the past for doing things to my household over here. But they took none of that into consideration.
Now, hold up. Did she do physical damage to your property?
When my mother the house that I live in was my mother's, and she died. But she has thrown dead animals in my mother's yard. She tried to hit me herself the other night.
Okay.
Physically, And she's 85 years old, so it leaves me in a place where, I'm not a violent person anyway. And I always respect my elders, but it's just so baffling. But my thing is for the police not to take any of this into consideration. That just, and then to tell me that they told her they made racist comments to me, that you could still come to my house and treat me like this, and then she gets to keep my property if it goes in her yard. So I'm just baffled. It's like my son has to pay consequences when he's done nothing wrong, but nothing happens to her.
Like I said, I think it's all about timing. I think with the issue of the lack of police oversight and the situation that took place with Robert Wagner, that took place with Leo Lewis, and just recently the Johnson boys. I think the time could be right. And the situation with your son, and there's been a couple of incidents that happened in Lincoln that we may need to sit down and honestly look at getting this thing on the ballot.
Well, that's completely fine with me.
Getting this on the ballot, and we have a lot of support. We have a Councilman Ben Gray. That's one of the things that he actually talked about. Well, we need to put him to the test. It's okay. You say we need to get this on the ballot and get it on a statewide initiative. Well, we want to do that. How can you go about helping us spearhead doing this?
Okay, and I know my city councilman personally too, and I haven't talked to him about any of this, but I'll contact him.
Well, I think that should be our next step, and I think the second step should be we should definitely have a community meeting, if you will, and maybe it'd be best to be halfway between Bellevue and Omaha.
Okay.
And then we can invite Council Bluffs.
Okay.
As well, and we can promote it via the radio, the Hunger Club, flyers, MySpace, and have a community meeting around this, and then get some petitions out and start getting to work on this, man.
I think that works fine with me, and whenever you need me, just let me know.
Okay, so you know, I'm when I say I'm gonna do something, I really jump on it. So I will definitely be calling you, but I'm gonna need for you to make sure you spearhead this thing in Bellevue, and I'll do my part here to bring the folks to the table. And
well, just kind of, I was just say, just a little bit of guidance is all I need, and I can take it from there.
Okay. So what I would do is we might have to do two, one in Bellevue and one in Omaha, and then we'll invite our councilman down. And like I said, this is something that he's talked about on several different occasions. Even Frank Brown had talked about this, of actually trying to get this thing on the ballot. So I think that's something that we can honestly look at and put into motion.
All righty.
All right. Well, look, we'll talk off air, and we need to do this immediately because we're having our strategy planning session with some national folks at our site on August 24th. That's coming up pretty soon. So we have national folks in the town. Mr. King Downing, who used to be over that campaign for racial profiling and did some huge event. He was responsible for the Genesis rally where they brought almost 75,000 people together. And this is the area that he works in. And we also have brought him here to establish a cop watch program. Matter of fact, that's another thing that we have to do. We actually had a cop watch website where anytime there was an incident just like this, we put that incident on our website. And we need to get that established. Matter of fact, I got 2 phone calls who want us to reestablish that. We need to start documenting these type of things so we have an accurate record of the number of folks who actually filed the complaints. Because the Omaha Police Department in Bellevue is probably saying they don't have a problem with that issue. Nobody filed complaints. Thereby, we don't need this. We have to start showing that there's a pattern.
Right.
And that also there's a reason why folks don't go and file a complaint with the Omaha Police Department or the Bellevue Department. And one of the main reasons is trust and fear.
Right. Well, I want to let them know that I'm not scared of anything or anyone.
Well,
and also I did put 2 videos on my Facebook page, and you can go and see them there.
Could you give your Facebook?
What? I belong to a social club. It's Zuri Snipes.
Say that again.
It's Zuri Ms. Asset Snipes.
Great. And like I said, we will be breaking this particular piece to the forefront. We will be holding community meetings around this. It seems like it's not going to go away. But I think there's a lot of work around this particular issue, and I'm very pleased with the U.S. Attorney. I've been in a meeting with her about 4 or 5 times, and I was surprised at some of the stuff that she was saying in regards to not only the Omaha Police Department, but the Bellevue Police, because they're represented at this task force.
Really?
Yeah, they're represented at this task force. So she talks about some of the things that needs to change, and the culture needs to change when it comes to the police department. And
Okay.
also,
Okay.
I man, I wish I had my email. Doug Patterson called me, and apparently the Omaha Police Department is going up for their certification um, soon. I think it's important that we we respond either in writing or by attendance regarding that accreditation. Um, I just got to find out the date of that particular piece.
Okay.
But
Okay.
we will be working together, and so please call me tomorrow so we can start setting up meeting times. And like I said, if we need to have the community meeting at our building, we could probably have about 100, 150 people here. So
Okay.
we that's not going to be the issue. So we just need to pick a date, and then we can do it here. And I can get most of the people here in
Okay.
Omaha. But we just don't want to just have Omaha folks here. We want to have folks in Bellevue and in Council Bluffs and any surrounding area who believe that we need police oversight.
Wonderful.
Okay?
Wonderful. I appreciate that. Very much so. Well, I will definitely get in touch with you tomorrow then.
Thank you. And thank you so much for contacting me because if you had not, this would have been not brought to the public's attention. And this is just another uh, case where we need to look at independent police oversight, not just in Omaha, but in Bellevue and across the state. We believe that
Well,
all people should be treated fair and the same, and they shouldn't be policed differently because of the color of skin or where they live at.
at the end of the day, like I told my son, it's not about trying to get my name out or anything like that. It's about letting my son know that A, he did nothing wrong, and B, his mother is going to do whatever she can to make sure that he's treated the way he's supposed to be treated. That's all this is about.
Amen. And like I said, if you don't fight for them, who will?
Exactly.
So like I always say, we keep waiting for the next Rosa Parks. We keep waiting for the next Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. We are that.
Hmm.
We are. So
Exactly.
so so
Exactly.
keep doing what you're doing.
All right, Willie.
Thank you so much for calling in.
No problem. You have a good evening.
You too. Um,
Bye-bye.
and that's what I'm about. If all you're gonna do is complain, don't call my number. Because what we got to do, we got to be more proactive. Our community is tired of all the meetings without no substance. They're tired of all the meetings without any results. They're tired of that. So unless we are proactive, then we're not going to have our community. And we just had a bunch of folks come in that are part of this. I think this beacon or this light when it comes about Metro Media Production, which is the house of 1690 AM, the house of Black Men United, Progressive Research Institute, CB4 Productions. We got a young brother, Micah Barnes. We got his brother, Chardair Barnes. We're looking to bring in some other folks. You're going to be surprised who we actually bringing in. We're going to be dealing with technology. Our community is behind when it comes to technology, and we're going to be in a position to be able to increase the knowledge, if you will, or increase the availability of technology within our community. Also, training programs. Folks, we're coming out hard, and that's a mindset that we got to have. We got to start having an environment where we're talking about economic development. Because the reason why all this stuff is happening, folks are hungry. They're hungry. They're getting out of these penitentiary systems with $100 or less, and they're supposed to be able to go find a job where they can be able to take care of their family, to be able to pay child support, to be able to pay restitution, to be able to pay for housing, to be able to pay for food. It's a setup, folks. It's a game. And folks say, Mr. Hamilton, you shouldn't say that it's a game, but it is. And if you don't understand the rules of the game, you get caught up in the system. The game is to put you as far as possible under the ground or as far as possible behind bars. So you got to understand that it's a setup from the beginning. So you got to understand that you got to get as much knowledge, as much support, much confidence to be able to endure that. Because I'm telling you, man, it's hard being black in America. It's not an excuse, but it's hard being black in America. And we got to understand that our true strength is not coming apart from each other. Our true strength is we have to go to each other. We got to put this Willie Lynch aside. And we got to look at the bigger picture. Because if we don't, we're going to be extinct, just like dinosaurs. You take the black male out of the picture, and how can a race sustain itself? It ain't science. And that's what's happening. But we ain't looking at the magnitude of what is taking place. Just look at it like this. Just say if one black man is killed, murdered in one city, how many cities we have? And take that through a year. Because right now there are more kids dying on the streets than all the wars combined. Combined. And we got to understand, man, we are not the enemy. When I get past 70 seconds, I'm supposed to take a deep breath and say I'm home. I'm supposed to be able to look over my shoulder, be worried about that. I'm in the hood. But it's just the opposite. I skip when I go out west. I don't have to worry about looking over my shoulder when I go out west. Something has to change. And we got to understand who we are and where we come from. And then we understand who we are and where we come from, we wouldn't be doing all these other stuff. That's why it's almost funny when I hear people talk about, well, these kids need to pull up their pants. If you get in their head, if you make them become conscious, you don't have to tell them to pull up their pants. Because guess what? They going to pull up their pants. But right now, man, there's a disconnect between the older generation and the younger generation, and the haves and the have-not. We got to find a way that we're in this together, whether you live on 24th Street or whether you live out on 180th Street. Because in America, you still black. In America, can I say that word? No, I'm not going to say it because I don't like it. So you know what I'm saying? In America. So anyway, what I'm saying is, and I always have preached, it's about unity. It's about us finding a way to put our personal feelings aside and look at the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is, if you open your hand, you can't hold nothing in it. It's only when this hand is together you can make a powerful fist and actually do things. And that's what has to happen. Latinos have figured it out. Koreans have figured it out. Jews have certainly figured it out. And white folks have certainly figured it out. Excuse me. And now Somalians are figuring it out. They do business with each other. They live 9, 10 deep. We used to do that. Do we do that now? We can't even stay in the house for 5 or 6, less than 9 or 10. Folks, we got to get back to what's got us to this point. Back in the 70s, us, first of all, living in the hood, living in our communities, coming back to our communities, and doing it that way. If you don't live in the community, you really don't have a vested interest in it. But that's just me. I want to talk a little bit more about the um, the event I attended in Louisville when they talked about where do we go from here, Trayvon Martin. There have been a campaign going on for about 3 years, and it's called a Campaign for Black Male Achievement, and it's been done by the Open Society Foundation, Mr. Sean Dove, and others. And one of the 4 campaign goals I'm going to read to you is kind of interesting because it falls within what is taking place now and what we have to do as a people. First of all, it says, ensure that black boys have the opportunity to excel academically, to prepare for college, and to learn skills essential to earning a living wage. Strengthen low-income black families through responsible fatherhood initiatives, policy advocacy, and supported efforts that lift barriers facing single mothers and LGBTQ parents raising black boys. Expand and ensure 21st century family supportive wage group opportunities for black males through policy advocacy and investing in labor best practices. Last, strengthen the field of black male achievement by supporting efforts in strategic communication, philanthropic leadership, capacity building, and leadership development. Because many of the policies that perpetuate black male exclusions are state and local policies that affect people in specific places. The campaign has adopted a city-based approach for the bulk of its grant-making, originally targeting Chicago, Milwaukee, and Midwest, New Orleans, and Jackson. That has expanded to Omaha, Nebraska. So Omaha, Nebraska has been chosen as one of the 11 cities to participate in a campaign for black male achievement. One of the things I like about this is it's not waiting till after you have the problem. And I use this analogy. Is it best to deal with a problem, deal with a heart attack when you have it, or before you have it? And that's the mindset that we have to have. If we are allowing our kids to come into an environment where they are in the negative before they get into schools, thereby when they get into 4th, 5th, 6th grade, they're more of a disenfranchised. And the literacy components just go through the roof. Then when they get in the 9th grade, they're dropping out of school. What we have to do is we have to have a relationship with the family before that child get into school. And we have to start teaching our school kids before they get into school. So when they get into school, they won't be behind. But I think we have to be thinking more so outside the box. And I know people may not agree with it. We need to start either controlling the schools or establishing our own schools. Because at the end of the day, do we really expect white teachers to teach our kids about our history and to be able to know it? Most black folks don't even know it. And I'm guilty. So shouldn't we be fostering an environment where that would be almost like a norm? Campaign for Black Male Achievement has brought together more black organizations that I've seen ever. From the Black Star Project to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund to the Oakland Unified School District, Youth Empowerment, Children Defense Fund, again the Center for Family Policy and Practice, Urban Institute, the Center for Law and Social Policy, UC Berkeley Center for Labor Research, Allied Media Projects, the Knight Foundation, the Association of Black Foundations Executives, You Want Game, Third World Press, Third Wave Foundation, the Foundation Center, the Smiley Group, Rap Session, Policy Link, Philadelphia Leadership Foundation, the National League of Cities Institute, Ohio State University Foundation, Men Can Stop Rape, Men and Boys Mentoring USA, The list just goes on and on. Chicago Jobs Council, all have Eagle Academy Foundation, Jeffrey Canada, who actually sit on the Open Society Foundation U.S. Program Board Mentor. This is huge, and the focus is on campaign for Black male achievement. Philip Jackson from the Black Star Project as well. Miss Susan Taylor. Just a phenomenal group of folks. The New York Young Men's Initiative was started. Phenomenal folks that we're bringing these men organizations to come together to foster the campaign for Black male achievement. If you want to get involved, you want to learn more about this particular organization, you can go to www.soros.org/CBMA, or you can go to cbma@sorosnewyork.org. Folks, campaign for Black male achievement. And one of the other things they're looking at, because we're all looking at measurable results, they say insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So one of the things that they're really focused on is evidence-based practice, and to be able to do effective practice for mentoring. So they actually going to be doing some training. Mentor USA, along with others, will be doing that. I think the National Cares Mentoring Movement will not be doing mentoring per se, but actually mentoring recruitment. So we collect, direct, I can't think of the last piece, that we do. But excited about the work that Omaha Cares will be doing not only this year, but next year as well, and the relationship that we have with the national organizations, the National Cares Mentoring Movement. I want to talk about what's taking place on 4200 North 30th. Remember, you heard it here, 1690 a.m. It was a very good day. Omaha Day was off the chain. Didn't have no incident. Had a lot of police involvement. That was a good thing. I think we had a couple of shootings last night, but to have no stoppage of the event for almost 4 days was incredible. But I think something has to take place. We have to make sure that we get the parade back down to 24th Street, because to have it on 30th Street, it just didn't feel right. So I think one of the things that we're going to try to do is see, can we get a campaign to actually put that back on 24th Street. Also, man, we got a lot of folks that could have made a lot of money, especially with the economic condition of North Omaha. But there's a lot of barriers that were put in place. But you better trust and believe in the next 2 years, we will be ready for Omaha Day. And it's going to be bigger and better than ever. But I want to talk about 1690. We're getting ready to have a campaign. And hopefully we'll have our founder call in. It would be good if William King would call in and talk about a campaign that they get ready to kick off next week. I know we got a few minutes, but we can talk about what you can expect. So if he could call in real quick, 402-707-3115, and we'll talk a little bit about that campaign, and if you want to get involved, how you can get involved, and when we're going to kick that off. So if he could call in, I would really appreciate it. If he here? Is he here? William. So if he could call in, I would really appreciate it, to talk about the kickoff for Metro Media Production at 1690 a.m. Folks, we're going to be the station to be reckoned with. We're the station that's in the community and is speaking for the community. This brother has always been here, always been for the community, and y'all need to step to the plate and take this thing to the next level. We're getting ready to do this, I think it's a 15,000. He's getting ready to get on, talk more about that, and if you want to be involved with it. And also, we are a 501c3 designation, so if you want to give a bigger donation to help us do it even bigger, here's your opportunity to do. But I want to talk to this gentleman real quick. and talk about this campaign that he's getting ready to kick off, and how the community can get behind it, and things of that nature. So, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for getting on the show, Will.
No problem. Appreciate you.
Well, look, talk about first of all, quick second, how this all came about, and then go into detail about the thing you're getting ready to kick off next week.
Well, you talking about first taking to the streets and stuff. Well, I was listening to our elders. I got a barter deal with this brother that has a email marketing company down in Louisiana, and I call him every once in a while because he's been, in the marketing business and in the business of getting people to behave a certain way, to buy a product or to pay attention to issues or seek a service. And he told me his salesmen always want to take over the world, but your philosophy should be take over your city. And some things have happened to us in the last couple of months that really have motivated me to take over the city. And the only way to do that, you gotta go to the streets. And I'm gonna let people know how they can access us. We're gonna go to the elementary level, A, B, C, D. This is how you do it. But also at the same time, we'll hopefully refer people to whatever needs necessary in their life to decrease their stress. So if it's chemical dependency referral, if it's how to start your own business, we'll referral. If you need medical, or if you have medical issues, we can refer you there. Or if you have even spirituality issues, we can refer you there. We're just going to be just the conduit, like Jesus do. He's the conduit to God. So we're going to try to behave in that manner, as well as take over the city. Because, like I said, we're putting out good content that's hopefully teaching people how to fish.
Mm-hmm. And also, you'll be doing a 15,000 lit drop, if you will.
Yeah, we're going to do we're teaming up with Godfathers. Godfathers on 65th at Ames. For those that's in my age bracket, 48, around that age bracket, we used to have Signals when we was in high school, right next to Godfathers. And Godfathers always gave us love when we was in high school, partying, having good food, food that where we can afford it, especially being teenagers. So they were the hub of my teenage years, especially, just congregating with all the other schools after basketball games, after football games. And now we're trying to revive that spirit, and hopefully they can sell a few more pieces while they promoting 1690 AM at the one at the same time. So it's gonna be a win-win situation where we'll do some hand-to-hand marketing as well as business-to-business marketing, where we actually touch people and tell people what we're actually doing and actually how they can get engaged. That's how we're gonna take over our city. And we're gonna do it how Jesus would have done it, man by man, woman by woman, child by child.
And this is not something new that you have done. You have done it in the past, where you actually been in the projects, you've been on hot spots, and you've actually did exactly what you just said. Mm-hmm. Not only did you just go to the street, sometimes you would feed people, sometimes you would give them information to be able to get them housing, mm-hmm. to be able to get help with if it was mental illness or chemical dependency, and that's what has to take place, because it's good to be able to go to the community, but if you're not servicing a need, mm-hmm. you're not going to get their attention, and that's why I love what you get ready to do, and I'm totally behind it.
And then also we're gonna add a little twist this year. We got some IT guys that want to come out with us and hang out with us. And so those that have some computer issues, got a bug at home or your computer running slow, we also gonna have that out there where you can get your some free consultation. So we know the internet, the computer age is the next generation to our freedom, economic freedom especially.
And again, what we hope to do here at Metro Media Production, under the auspice of nonprofits and for-profits, is start building an atmosphere that we have to own, and we have to produce something. We are the biggest consumers, but yet we don't own nothing and we don't produce nothing. Because we have felt into the trap that education is the key to everything, and it's not. Economic development is the key to everything.
And that's the reason why tech was so important, and why we should develop other institutions similar to tech where we teach trades. Everyone is not going to be a scientist. Some people have to build the hospitals so the scientists can work. Cleanliness is next to godliness. So you got to have environmental engineers, or some people call them janitors. So everyone work is significant. Everyone work is important in the human chain. So regardless of what skill you manifest, it needs to be manifest. And right now, our community is allowing our boys, as well as our girls. Girls are going to college, I think, double, almost triple as more than boys are black boys. Just think of this. Just ponder this. Instead of letting them stay home, you know they can't find a job. You know it's all kind of isms that they got to face. You know they got to deal with the policeism, racism, favoritism, all the isms, as well as family isms. So it's still letting that 18-year-old boy just waste at home. Can't find a job. I remember when I got out of college, I couldn't find a job with a degree. Man, I'm crying. I said, God dang, I sacrifice, still can't find a job. You don't know what you need to do when you go in front of other people that don't look like you, as far as when you're in the interview process and you got to depend on someone else to judge you like they God themselves. So why put your teenage boys through that? It's the mental capacity of that. So it's easy to break down and go left or right when you don't have that support system. And especially as a male, you pressure. I do groups, and economics is the key indicator of if you're gonna be mentally sane or not, or if you're gonna be violent against other people. So economics is pushed on us greatly. Man is responsible for raising the family, and it's your responsibility to bring food home. It's the man's responsibility, etc., etc. God puts that on us. So, and then women reinforce it. So those are a lot of pressure. And at 18-year-old, you got a child now. You got a mail coming from the Department of Social Service saying that you owe child support. Instead of putting our sons through that, we need to send them. Some people might disagree, but this is how I came to Omaha. My dad was in the Air Force. My dad came from the cotton fields. My mama came from the cotton fields. But the Air Force allowed us to get out of cotton fields. And so we need to use the Army, Air Force, Marines. Everyone's not going to war. Everyone's not going to die in the war. They're paramedics. They're firemen. They're all types of jobs and trainings that one can get in the military. So instead of letting your child waste, instead of putting them against those odds of having a baby, dealing with the police, dealing with drugs, dealing with unemployment, send them somewhere where they can have a guarantee, they can see the world, they can get an education, they can get a GI Bill and further their education. If they're not going to go to college, find something else. Don't let them sit on the stoop. And I put that on parents, because we allow our children to just waste away, and then we blame them because we didn't give no guidance.
I want before we get off the air, I want to give a big shout out. This weekend down at the Omaha Days, 1690 was in the house. Miss Princess was out in the streets, man. Just going bananas, representing 1690. We had Michael Barnes. We had Shardell Barnes out there taking pictures. So hopefully you'll be seeing those pictures come up on the website. What's the brother's name? with 402. Was out there. William Dortch. And what's the other brother that was down there with us?
Lyrics.
Yeah, Lyrics. I want to make sure I give that brother a big shout out, man. He was down there holding it down for hours because he believed in 1690. So I just want to give all these young folks who coming on board with all this energy, and that's what I'm liking about it, is just all this energy. And then we got some older folks, and then we got some older folks, all under the same roof, learning from each other and hopefully supporting and empowering each other. That's what we got to do, folks, man. We got to put all our differences aside, man. We got to come to the table, and we got to do for self. The cavalry is not coming, folks. The cavalries are not coming. It's us. You know what I'm saying? It's us. So I'm going to leave you with this. There's a new sheriff in town, folks, and it's 1690 a.m. to 1. We'll holler. Y'all have a good day, and tune in next week, same time, same station. My name is Willie Hamilton, and of course, this has been Real Talk. Don't forget, come out tomorrow, 12 o'clock, and show your love for Mr. Dale Gimes to talk about the importance of economic development in businesses and any other questions you have around that particular issue. Tune in next week, folks. We out of here. Peace.
Say